tells you how many dependents to choose to break even. So don't take this what I'm telling you and go to work tomorrow or Monday and put 27 dependents, you know, and end up next year owing $6,000 in taxes and coming back and telling me I did it. What I'm telling you is that there's a formula of how many. Each person's different. If this couple over here own a home, they might be able to take more dependents than somebody that's renting, okay? So my suggestion is, for that technique, is to go to IRS.gov's website and find the place on the website where you take your check stub, your most recent check stub, punch in the figures, and it tells you what number to pick to break even. So that instead of getting it back at the end of the year, now you get it back during the year, okay? Or you can go to a CPA. A CPA will figure it out for you and tell you, hey, you want to break even? Most CPAs will tell you, you know, most people go to H&R Block. They're not CPAs. You need to go to a certified public accountant and say, what do I need to do to make more money come into my household and not get it back at the end of the year? Now, my suggestion, it would be if I'm going to make $4,000 in income taxes, what I would rather do is get my $400 back every month. I would rather take $4,000 and put it into a CD, borrow $4,000 against it, and use that $400 to pay my CD every month. At least I'm earning interest on that. And then at the end of 12 months, my CD matures, so it's like I got $4,000 too. The difference is I got mine during the year. Or if you got an extra $400 now coming in, imagine how the accelerator program works with that extra $400. You put some in savings, the $400 plus the $148 that this couple was spending, $548 extra dollars a month coming in. That can really do some good for you. So that's one of the things that I suggest that you definitely get on if your budget is over what your take home is. Other than that, you have to go inside and find some areas to tweak if you find that you're overspending. One other thing that you should know before I let you guys go about overspending on this budget is, remember, you're budgeting for the worst month, okay? So when you say, oh my God, I'm spending $400 more than I'm making, that's not really true. That's if everything was the worst. The electricity was the highest, the gas was the highest, you know, groceries was the highest, everything was. Again, the way I do the budget is anytime, it's all in the envelope. You're going to start doing it on a weekly basis. So if you if you start now, whatever your weekly mortgage is or your weekly rent is, you'll be putting it in there. If it's bi-weekly, every 2 weeks you do it. Some households have, husband and wife have to separate which ones they're going to do, because the wife gets paid every week, the husband gets paid every 2 weeks. If you get paid monthly, same thing. If you disperse the money into these envelopes, you can't overspend what's not yours. What I do is I have a checking account. It doesn't have anything in it. The money's all in the envelope. So a lot of times I'm working on my budget all through the month, and let's say I get 20 days into the month and my budget for April is done, okay? I go right back and I start working on May, and I just start dispersing the money back in there like that. Believe me, it does work like that. When you're not just spending money any old way, you got more money than you know what to do with, because it's in these envelopes, and none of it slips between your fingers, and you start working for the previous month. What I find that when people do this for about 90 days, you end up at least one whole month ahead on everything. The cash goes in here for the mortgage 4 weeks. You take the mortgage out, you put it into the checking account, you write a check for the mortgage, it comes right back out, it's done. You're not looking at a checking account and thinking you got more money than really what you have. By the way, I'm not the creator of the envelope system. I've been using it for 20 years. Years ago, I thought I was. When I learned credit repair, I also learned debt elimination. And when I learned it, my grandmother taught me this when I was young. But when I learned it, I thought that I created it, because it had been so many years. So many years. And then when I went to the University of Michigan and they did the envelope system, I was like, wow, it wasn't created by me. My grandma made me believe it was created by me. But this is something that I've been using for 20 years. I know some of my best friends that own major companies use this same system. Now, they may use QuickBooks. If if you're more comfortable pre-writing checks, in QuickBooks, if you use a QuickBooks or a check writing program on the computer, you can actually have a balance of $6,000 in your account and pre-write checks and minus them from your checkbook, and it's doing the same thing. Or if you don't want to put cash inside of the envelopes, every week, if your mortgage is $250 a week, you write a check for $250 and you put it in an envelope, minus from your checkbook. The main thing is get the money out of your mind. It's not yours anymore. And if you do that, at the end of the plan, you're going to have more money than you know what to do with. Now, I've gotten lots of stories over the last 10 years of doing debt elimination where people have owned, I had a couple that lived with their mom and dad and hoarded all the money, driving junky cars, and everybody made fun of them, all their friends, because they lived with mom and dad. But when I last heard that couple own their home outright, had 2 brand new cars they owned outright, nobody's laughing anymore. And so that sometimes you have to live like other people are not willing to live, to later on live like other people can't live because they're so overwhelmed in debt. So, and I can tell you that this does free up your mind. You don't have to work 40, 60, 80 hours. I'm fortunate that I don't work 40 hours a week. I'm able to raise my daughter alone and be at all her functions. And, a lot of times parents have to work so much you can't go to the functions. You can't live with the kids. And the kids remember that when you grow up. When you have a budget, then you can free up time. You don't have to work 80 hours a week to barely make ends meet. If you don't have a budget, it doesn't matter if you're working 40 hours a week or if you're working 80 hours a week. You're still going to overspend unless you put it inside here. Out of sight, out of mind. Anybody got any questions?
I plan on buying a car this year. What's your take on purchasing a vehicle?
If you're not making a monthly payment on a car right now, you'll notice on the budgeting form there's something called a car replacement. If you're going to try and finance a car, first of all, I would say, well, what's the payment going to be? $350. Okay, start trying to take $350 and put it into a savings account every month. My take on buying a car, though, is for 6 months you should put money in savings. Let's say you put $300 in savings for 6 months. That's $1,800. You take the $1,800 and you go buy an $1,800 car. Some of you, I don't want to buy an $1,800 car. But you do it, and then you take $300 again, keep putting it into a savings account. At the end of 6 months, you take the $1,800 car and the $1,800 that you got in cash and move up to a $3,600 car. And if you keep doing that, I have taught people to do that, and they have built their way all the way up to BMWs, and the BMWs paid for, because every time they did, they put the money in savings, but they stepped up to another car and stepped up to another one until finally they had a brand new car that was paid for cash. So that's better to do than going out and finance it. If you finance it, we still can put it in the accelerator program. So again, this page, if you want me to build your plan, I need this page filled out. I need all 3 of the pages, but I need this page filled out with your interest rate, what your months are, months left on the loan, balance of the loan if you paid it off as of today, and what's the minimum monthly payment. Sometimes people are already making extra payments towards things, but I need to know what the minimum monthly payment is to make the budget all work right. You could turn this into a PDF and email it to me. Just make sure everything is rounded figures, everything is monthly. Don't put $1,200 for clothes, because I'm going to think you're spending $1,200 a month. And I get that all the time. Somebody sends it. Then I got to track you down and try and figure out, what is that figure? Who had a question over here?
Like in my case, I don't have any debt at all. My car knows I watch rent right now, but I just recently did the
CD?
card and I did the CD. That's the only 2 things that I have. So
That's good. You should be doing the car replacement budget. You should have one.
okay.
And so what happens if your car went out today, you'd have to finance one. Whereas if you were putting money into a car replacement budget and your car went out, you got the money there to either pay for the car to be fixed or you got the money to buy a new car. Every month I put $400 into a car replacement budget. So every month I'm doing that. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to need a car, but it's there. Yeah. You got furniture replacement budgets. You got, who had a question? So you got furniture replacement budgets. Right now, I wouldn't put any replacement budgets in if you already have debts, because we need to get those debts accelerated off and get you straight as far as how much money you make and how much money you're spending. Okay. This is on my website, by the way, lawfulsolutions.org. And if you click it and you have Excel, it will open up, and then you can just type all the figures in. I believe that spreadsheet will add everything up for you, so you don't even have to add it up. I don't believe it'll break it into a weekly or a monthly. I think it's just a generic monthly one. It's not if you get paid. I have some of these that once I do your budget, I put them into however you get paid. If you get paid every 2 weeks, then I put it into a 2-week one, and then what it does, it splits and tells me if you pay $200 a month for electricity, it tells me that $50 every week needs to come out your check and go into your electricity envelope. These have 13 in them, but like I said, I got 2 of these, so I got 26 envelopes because I put an envelope for everything. I don't just break, hair care might be 1 envelope, nails might be one. You might want to break it down like that. Whereas if you look at the budgeting form, they have a whole bunch of things in one section. So either way, you can do it. Any more questions before I let y'all go? All right, thank y'all for coming. Next month, we'll be on what's called a financial needs analysis. Financial needs analysis is, Mr. Greer will be giving that one. If y'all don't know David is a professor of economics at this university, and what he does in that seminar is he looks at your future. You know, do you have the right type of insurances? Where you wanting to retire? How much money you want to earn when you retire? What do you want to do with your life 20, 30 years from now? So it's very interesting the way he comes at the figures that he comes at. A lot of times people have come to that seminar and they've had, $60 a month they're spending on $30,000 of life insurance, which is not going to do anything for anybody. And he'll take it and turn you around and show you where you can take the same $60 and maybe buy $500,000 of life insurance. So a lot of times people tend to use the wrong types of insurances and so he can analyze totally where you're at on the financial level. So yeah. That's going to be the last Saturday of next month. And you'll get emails on it also. As long as you're on our email list, all you got to do is call, or if y'all got my email address is my name, stephenwest22@yahoo.com. That's STEPHENWEST22@yahoo.com. If you'll just email me and say, please put me on the emailing list. If you're brand new, you're probably not on it. If you signed up in the last month, you're probably not on it. You'll be on the next one. Because yeah, we don't normally talk about the seminars and that. Maybe I need to do a shout out to all my clients. Did I? Okay. Oh, when I was talking to Pastor, yeah, that's right.